So we've been exploring this Godtear thing, which leads to the question, three-player Godtear. How would we implement that? And I put that question out there because certainly this is true of Godtear, but it's true of all the wargaming systems that I enjoy. I'm trying to do the Tactica. I'm trying to put up a solid game. I'm immersing myself in the narrative. When I'm playing Godtear, I am that champion on the table. I try to role play it a little bit as we battle over the salty tears of the gods. But also very much so, it's about the social aspects for me. This idea that as wargaming friends, we can sit down, roll some dice, flip some cards, and have some fun, create a unique experience, which means the more players that I can bring into the game, that player personality, that unique vision, and the tactica that you bring, that can only make for a better game. So I love really, really big games. And Godtear, the rule set is solid. It really scales up. Now, rules as written, the game intends you to play player versus player, playing 1, 2, or 3 warbands. It really shines at 3 warbands because now you have multiple choices, battlefield control, various synergies and tactica. But I appreciate that it's also set up for 1 or 2 warbands because I can adjust that for the time frame. If I have less time to play Godtear, if I only have maybe an hour, I can do 2 warbands. If we're playing just a quick little scenario, I can do 1 warband. So I appreciate the flexibility of the rules that it can go 1, 2, or 3. Now, breaking that, moving beyond that, we've played some big games of Godtear. If you have the warbands, you're ready to do that. We've had 4 players on each side. We've done 8-player Godtear, 4 and 4. With that, we played on a much bigger hex map, and we had each player, 4 players on each side, controlling their own warband. From that perspective, it worked very, very well because we just essentially increased the table size, mirror the tiers for each mission, and plug in the rules. Now, if we go with 3 players, so that's kind of the framework. If we go in with 3 players, how would we do that? Now, I would not want to do, I would not approach that from the perspective of one person, say, playing 4 warbands and then on one side, and on the other side, 2 players playing 2 each. I would want every player to have their own faction and make their own decisions. Essentially a 3-way game. Now, if we're going to have 3 players on the table, I think we'd do 2 warbands each. That's how I would start to approach it because one doesn't give you enough synergy. 3 warbands, we could do that, but it would kind of crowd the table a lot. Because remember, this is going to be 3 versus 3. I would go with 2 warbands each. This way you've got some synergy, you've got some decisions, and you've got yourself a nice little group of models that you can control and utilize. I would deploy out probably a table quarter, and then on the opposite side, the table edge. I would try to make the deployment as fair as possible. I would probably randomize it, so this way players wind up deploying somewhere. And I would probably play life, where things can kind of grow, because this way it would pull us all towards the center for just a massive brawl. Now, in exploring this, and this is true of every war game, not just Godtear, a war game's rule set is made to work a certain way. As soon as you go beyond that, balance might go out a little bit. Challenge rating might adjust a little bit. If you're going to break a system and go beyond the number of players or the rules, then as a player, you have to kind of accept there might be a little bit of an imbalance or there might be a little bit of a slowdown. I'm personally willing to accept that unless, in terms of Godtear, we just finished up a competitive league. Playing that in a tournament scenario, it's absolutely 100% rules as written, because we're all competing together. But if I'm playing just kind of narrative, if I'm playing with friends, I'm willing to have a little bit of an imbalance, or I'm willing to try things out and see how they go. And Godtear is really amazing for that because the rule set is absolutely so solid. Adjusting and playing for a 3-player game which each player controlling two warbands, it's possible. It is, and it still maintains the flavor and the fun of Godtear. So that is how I would approach a three-player game, and any day I would absolutely step up, because the more players we have playing, the more exciting the game is going to be.